Yeah. Peace to the God. Peace to the God.
Hey, what's the science, my
Yeah.
brother?
Man, I'm just getting to the kingdom. You know what I'm saying? It's just getting tight brick out there. You know, we say in New York, you know what I mean? It's getting brick, you know what I'm saying, outside, even down here in Georgia. They get brick out here too. You know what I mean? Like Texas don't get this cold. Like right now it's like 34 degrees outside. You know what I mean? So yeah. Had to come in and cut the heat on and everything, and you know what I'm saying. But yeah, Lord, you know what I'm saying. I ain't been with you in a minute, man. You know it's good to see you, God. You know,
Likewise, likewise.
what's the science? What you been up to though?
I'm building, man. That's all I can do, man.
Yeah, yeah,
Building.
yeah, yeah, no doubt. Well, real quick, I know this is like the first time I'm really having you on the live building or whatever. Just give a quick, just a brief introduction of, who you be. You be the God, but who you be.
We got Rahmel, fiber sitter. You know, raised
No
by the
doubt.
Dora Smiths, the father's wife, born and raised in that crib. That's where I got it from. Came
Yeah.
amongst the God, come amongst Allah's sons, the firstborn, and all of them, and
Wow.
compare notes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you the grandson of the father.
Yeah, I'm Dora's grandson. It's
Yes, sir.
public public obituary that was printed. Camera was
Yeah.
filmed. You know,
Yeah, yeah, no doubt, God. I mean, what was it like just being around the firstborn and some of the elders, you know what I'm saying? Like just some of the knowledge and the information you was able to extract from them. What was that like, growing up?
we was told to stay away from them, stay away from the school. Don't get involved with it. That's what we was taught.
Mm,
Yeah,
wow.
yep.
They said to stay away from the school?
Stay away from them. That's what they told us. Growing up, Grandma said that. Mommy said you better go over there.
She's
Mommy
talking about
said, yeah. She
so
said,
she's
go
talking
over
she
there.
talk, she talking about the law school to stay away from it?
Stay away from them. Yeah, she didn't put us in the. I never registered to be in no mosque or go to the school back then. I got of
Mm,
age. I started coming by.
yeah.
But,
Wow.
some of the worst things you could do is say you related to the father. That's some of the worst thing you could do. People think you're
Stop
trying
playing,
to
God.
grandstand or something. Yeah, man, you got a lot of jealous people, but mostly
Wow.
Dora's name in the nation, they kind of had her under. Oh, she denied the father, so they
Mm,
didn't have a good life for her. Plus, none of her kids was really in the nation, and they call my uncle C Allah, and they call the other one P Allah, but they wasn't really studying being in the
right,
nation like hand whatnot. They born, that's their father,
right,
but
right.
A Allah, B Allah with lean kids, they was in the nation. So, they had people that hung out with them and whatnot. So, of course, naturally, they'll favor more towards that side of the family, which is natural. We wasn't around, coming around like that.
Wow. Hmm. That's
Another
interesting.
thing,
That's interesting.
another thing is she didn't go see him in Mattawan, in the
Mm,
letters and whatnot, and it kind of hurt him. He even mentioned it on that document, that little audio that's out
mm,
there. That's
mm,
another reason why, husband and wife have their problems. That's between them. Brothers that's was teenagers or youngsters back then, they only got it from the father's point of view, so they don't they gonna pass
right.
judgment based on you tell somebody, yo, my wife gave me the ultimatum, or she put me out, or she didn't come see me, and you love that man, you're gonna take some kind of feeling, some kind of sides. So
Yeah.
that happened a lot.
Wow. Mm, that's interesting. I never heard that history before. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, you would imagine his, wife, his queen or whatever, she gonna go up there and see him. You know what I mean? Make sure he good. Was it any particular reason why she didn't go up there to see him, or?
She told me he told her not to come. He said
Mm,
when somebody got arrested and they did something wrong, they got to serve their time. Or they wouldn't be in there if they didn't do nothing wrong or something like that. It's a lot of brothers that say, I'll never go see somebody in jail or the crazy
mm,
house. I guess it was embarrassing to have a family member in the crazy house. You know what I'm saying? Because
mm,
they back then was thinking crazy. Oh, he crazy. He must run in the family. Oh, y'all must be crazy. It ain't something you
yeah,
wanted to brag about a family member in the nut house.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
his sons, They told everybody, we're going to go see Allah. Where is he?
Yeah.
In the nut house. He's like, what? Yo, the fact that he let
Wow.
them, they let them young men in there,
Mhm.
and they was minors like that. He let them young men in there to see that man. They knew that they had the streets, and somebody had to talk to them. So they allowed
Yeah.
him to talk to them for Mattawan, allow visitors like that, you know?
Wow. That's crazy. Wow. Man. Yeah, that's yeah, yeah. And
Think about
what I was where you from? You from Harlem or you from BX
Bed-Stuy,
or
Bed-Stuy,
oh you from
Brooklyn,
B okay, you from Medina, you from BK.
the heart.
Okay, I'm thinking, you know what I'm saying, because you know the father and everything. I'm thinking, you know, Uptown Harlem. You know, what I mean, you know, in Brooklyn we call it Uptown. You know what I'm saying? When we talking about Harlem and the Bronx or whatever, that's Uptown to us. And Queens cats, they say Uptown or whatever. But yeah, I'm thinking, okay, I know you from BK.
Born and bred.
Yeah, from the
Yeah,
style.
yeah. Dora and Willie moved to Brooklyn.
Okay,
Yeah.
wow. Okay, yeah, yeah. What high school you went to?
Van Arsdale. Used to call it Eli Whitney.
Okay.
I was in there with Freedom, which is Uncle Freedom, Papa Wu's son.
Mhm.
And the last year I was leaving out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow, that's interesting. That's interesting. Let me ask you though, God, what do you think? You know, just like dealing with, you know, like just some of the lessons and stuff that you know the father may have, you know, and the elders brought to the streets. You know, like, you know, I hear a lot of people talk about, you know, the problem book. The father didn't really see a problem, so he didn't really see the need to bring that into the fold. You know, there was other lessons as well. You know, you got the general orders, and there's a lot within the supreme package within the Nation of Islam. But you know, the father brought just the basic, you know, beginner, you know, lessons or whatever that you know 5%ers have. What's your thoughts on just like other things like the problem book, or do you think that would have been beneficial had he would have, you know, introduced that to the babies at that time, or do you think, you know, it would have been a little too advanced, or you know what I'm saying? What's your
Well,
thoughts on that?
see, Allah looked at it like, see, mathematics is to work out problems. If you live in mathematics, you're going to calculate the problem, find out the quotient, the answer, and that's that. So if we building
And get
here,
the solution.
that's what we're
Right.
doing here. We building, right? But when you build, a lot of times, oftentimes, you got to show your work. So the demonstration, that's the wisdom, right? Now the demonstration
Mm.
is a separate piece of paper. You do a math problem, they say, okay, I want to see how you came up with this answer. Don't just give me a long answer, a long question, and you just come up with the answer. I want to know how you got to this answer. Configuration.
Right.
So they give you a separate piece of paper, and even in the problem book, it says they was paying so and so to the neatest worker of this problem. So that means you have to show and prove the answer, right? So
Mm.
now the lessons that he brought us was selected. It was 120 degrees. The mandatory lessons that you need to be a minister, this, that, and the third. Problem books and all of that was add-ons. There's a bunch of prayers that was in my book of life. They got a bunch of stuff that he had in his book of life. But the main thing with the lessons was, the first degree and the third degree, 1 of 14. It tells you about the original man being God and owner of the planet Earth and choosing for himself the best part. See, even the messenger said, accept it or let it alone. He gave you an
Right.
option.
Right.
So he also said you give the baby milk and not meat. So one may think that the student enrollment is the greatest bomb,
Mm-hmm.
because first degree or something like that. But we got many more degrees that goes into detail. But remember, that's the enrollment of a student. So if that's something they tell
Right.
you first, then that's how vital and important it is to know who is the original man. A lot of people don't
Right.
see themselves in that degree though. You know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
taking the best part out and using it to benefit yourself. That's how he was building his nation. Those lessons had 120 degrees, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of them touched on the mother plane. Now, none of them touched on it, but it was 120 degrees and didn't touch on certain things. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
he wasn't joining his nation onto the Nation of Islam, although he said some of y'all some of y'all need discipline, this, that, and the third. But he never said for his own nation to go into that. That's a whole different thing. If he wanted to put them under that, then he would have told them to register, get your X, write your letter, and things like that, you know?
Right.
But he had doing something. He was establishing his independence and planted that seed to build his nation. He had his sons. The only way to get to the father is to go through his sons. A lot of people say, "I'm going to get to the father." You want to see the father come together, but you want to get to the father. You got to go through his sons.
Yeah,
and that's
yeah,
for a reason.
Yeah.
Nobody never
true
said don't study. Nobody never said don't study all that extra stuff.
Right. Yeah. Right.
He never hid the fact that the messenger Elijah Muhammad or Master Farad name is in the lesson. He never took that out. He never took the word Muslim out. He never took certain things out. So if you knew the source of where to get it from, if you read it, then you know that it was more material published by these people. But what he prescribed was what he prescribed, and that's the best part.
Right. Yeah. Skunk of the Planet Earth. I mean, it's a lot of different things in the lessons that I've heard. Brothers in the Nation of Gods and Earths. Say that the Father took that out. He took this out. He took that out. I believe that he didn't really take anything out. He gave the understanding of it. You know what I'm saying? And like you just said, all of the other stuff would be what we would call add-ons. Like he didn't say stay away from the restrictive laws or stay away from the general orders or stay away from the problem book. Like if you see a need in your life to, introduce, you know what I'm saying, put that into your life, introduce it into your way of life, then yeah, so be it. But yeah, that would be the basics, you know what I'm saying? And then of course, as an add-on for himself, he gave us supreme alphabet and mathematics, which as a baby learns to count. He learns his ABCs. That's the foundation.
One of the firstborns, Akim, told me, he said, it's just a lesson. So it's a lesson.
Right.
It's how you apply it. It's just like you get a moral from a story of the three little bears, or Goldilocks or something, right? It's how you make it applicable to your everyday life. Otherwise, it's just words on a paper, old as World War II. You know what I'm saying? And then now it just becomes something that you got on cap. But if you're not applying it, you tend to lose it. So he wanted to make this a living mathematics thing. The lessons was the mathematics and alphabets was the keys to unlocking those locks of those 6 lessons. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's 6 lessons and it's 2 keys.
Yeah, true indeed. Yes, sir. You know what I'm saying? What do you think about like the like with like us, like brothers in the Nation of Islam that came up under, you know what I'm saying, who was inspired by your grandfather, you know what I mean? And we got these lessons and we learned these lessons, but eventually we went back into the essence or back to the mosque where, the beginning and, began studying the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and some of his understanding of the, the 120 lessons, the supreme wisdom. How do you feel or see, brothers that, still hold on to the 5%, the Muslim gods, basically. We still hold on to the Father and the 5%ers, but yet and still we adhere to the understanding of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Did you ever see that as a conflict or, in your development?
It actually is a conflict if you say, for instance, you can respect both, you can acknowledge both, but you either join the one or the other. And not by denouncing the other one or hating the other one, but there's 2 different points of view there, right? So one here we got Master Farad being Allah and being on the mother plane, right? Father didn't teach that, and the reason he was teaching the reality of Allah so that you could see it in him is that, so you could identify with the reality. It becomes something natural, unlike a religion. See, in religion, all you got to do is believe. If you're a Christian, all you got to do is say, oh, I believe Jesus died for my sins, and, I believe in all the prophets or whatever, and even if you take your shahada, you announcing something, you're using your word as bond. When you make your word bond, your word is life. So, like it says in that degree, you give your life before your word shall fail, and that's what you stand on. A lot of people, during the time Allah was around in the physical, he had told some of his sons to stay away from the brothers in the mosque. Why? Because their atmosphere was different then. a lot of it wasn't anti-Muslim, but a lot of those Muslims was anti-Allah. They didn't think that what he was doing was right because, all
Yeah.
right, why you got the lessons on the street, you got this guy smoking cigarettes, you teaching him this, and you ain't telling him to stop, and you ain't force him to do this. And he said, nah, I don't force nobody to do nothing, son. I ain't telling them to smoke and drink. They already smoking and drinking. So, he gave them the understanding of it so they could stop themselves, because he said the only way you're going to stop is if you do it yourself. Only way you're going to stop the pusher from pushing it is if he stop himself. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. I agree. I agree with that, what you just said too. And I learned that when I came into the Nation of Islam when I was in federal prison. You know what I mean? When I came into the Nation of Islam, the brothers and the ministers and some of them, not all of them, you know what I mean? But some of the brothers in there kind of looked down on the 5%ers. And I felt like as a 5%er from the nation of gods and earth, I'm coming into the Nation of Islam now, and I'm still quoting some lessons, and some of the words is kind of a little different in the lessons, but brothers would always look down on not me per se, but just that type of like, oh yeah, brother Robert, come on, you can't be following them to brother Clarence teachings now. Come on, man, you can't come in here with that. Like, but however, on the flip side, the 5%ers, they didn't really, they listened to some of the ministers and the brothers in the Nation of Islam when they would teach, when they would build, there wasn't really too many disputes or anything like that, but they would just listen. They didn't try to disrespect it or talk down on it. Some of them did, of course. Like I said, there's always in every cipher, there's an 85 or 10% and a 5%. So, we understand that. But I agree with you when you say that, because I kind of felt those same sentiments when I came into the Nation of Islam. Like, they looked at them brothers like, they're beneath us. They still in the world. They still in the dunya, smoking, drinking, chasing women. And, you know what I mean? We don't do that. So stay away from them brothers. You know what I mean?
Right. They always, you get forced or they put you out. So you go by these rules. And a lot of people say, 5% is a little looser with their rules. And you think you could come there and get away with certain things. And now Cypher, you can't even do that there. But it's about the people who make that sacrifice and want to choose to be disciplined like that. And at the time, when the Father was amongst us, it was a whole different atmosphere. But nowadays, you see some of the Nation of Islam's greatest builders used to be a part of the 5% Nation, and you see a lot of them came up in rank when they did join that. They already knew lessons. They just advanced rapidly, right? This is what they wanted for themselves. That's what they chose. For whatever reason, whatever personal reason, they might not have liked the characteristics of the people who was bearing this light or, basically teaching these truths. Certain people you just can't get with, Father wasn't no criminal, though. And he knew he was surrounded by criminals in the mosque. Brothers did stretches, you know what I'm saying? He had some brothers in there that did more time than the Birdman from Alcatraz, and they come home and put on a bow tie. And, he was like, well, what the hell if we all here together and it's a violation of your parole or associate with other felonies, then you just breaking the law just by congregating. He's a war veteran coming home and, he wasn't getting in trouble going to jail like that. None of those Medina guards was going to jail like that unless it was for like a protest or standing up for their rights or something righteous. There wasn't no criminals like that. Somebody brought to let the criminals in this month. They let them criminals in here. You know what I'm saying?
Well, when you say when you say somebody, you said somebody let them in, the criminals.
Somebody had to let them in. I mean, when you came into this nation, you had to see brothers that was 5%ers. You had to want to be like them. Somebody was here before you. So when I look at the pictures and I see brothers like Knowledge God and Messiah and Firstborns and whatnot, you can look from the picture. And then, the ones that is around us, you can ask them, what y'all used to do? Those was in college. They was in school. They was into trades and summer youth, and all type of brothers was 15, 16 years old with apartments and 3-piece suits in their closet. So they was young men, you know what I'm saying? And who the hell taught these young men to dress so nice and so young? And you didn't see young people doing that. You definitely don't see it today. You see brothers maybe.
I used to see pictures.
Yeah, you ever seen them dress like a bum? You never seen him dressed like a bum? You never seen him in a picture with a lit cigarette or a drink? You never seen that in the picture. Even though he said he wasn't against certain things, you ain't never see him in no picture doing it. So, but you saw him always looking presentable. So, one of the things that, you could go around certain different people's members of society when you look presentable. He could go to the Wellsworth bar and then go talk to the mayor. and nobody will look down on it. You look like you belong there.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah. I mean, your character plays a big part, you know what I'm saying? And you know, and I think the father learned that, you know, in FOI training, you know, manhood training classes in the Nation of Islam. Master Fard Muhammad set that up to basically raise us and develop us back into what a man should be in the community, you know what I'm saying, as a leader, you know what I mean, teacher and a guide for the youth, you know what I'm saying? I was just gonna go back to one thing that you said though, when you said, you know, about during the time of the father, you know, like in the Nation of Islam, brother saying that Master Fard Muhammad, you know, teaching about the mother plane and saying Master Fard Muhammad was that teaching really wasn't that really came with, you know, Minister Farrakhan, you know, later on, because Elijah Muhammad did teach about the mother plane. And I don't think the father mocked that teaching. And I think me and you built on that once before when I told you I gotta look for this joint. But
show me one video of any minister back then talking about the will, talking about the mother.
Yeah,
Ali, show me one. I just want one.
Oh, you talking about the nation? Oh no, I thought you was talking about the 5%ers, because I was going to say I think Firstborn Prince mentioned or about the mother plane. I heard him, you know, teach about that here and there. But in the Nation of Islam, yeah, it was, you know, Malcolm taught about it. Muhammad Ali talked about it. There's little. I'm saying not like Muhammad Ali, it might have been like in an interview or something and somebody asked him a question and he kind of, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, all of those brothers kind of alluded to the fact that.
You know, I was searching, right? I ain't found nothing like that. You know, all his stuff is up there. You know, most of his stuff that was recorded is up there and available nowadays, available at our phone.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking for it. I know it was mentioned in Message to the Black Man, which came out and published in 65. You know,
65, yes, sir.
Ministers really building on that like that, you know, and then after the message,
they wasn't really building on it like that, you know, because again, you know, we're developing, you know, after we came out of chattel slavery and we first got the knowledge that God is a black person, you know, I mean, that had to come by way of people such as Marcus Garvey, and, you know, they had to kind of like little by little show you more light. So it's like by the time Drew Ali, then Fard Muhammad, then Elijah Muhammad, then the father, it was like it started opening up more and more and more. But the thing is, by the time Master Fard Muhammad came and taught that to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, ministers was teaching on that crazy back in the 1930s, like the mother play. Because remember, we were a voodoo cult at one time in the early 1930s because we were a weird people to the black community. Not just by the black people in the black community, because, you know, we stopped eating pork, we stopped cursing, we stopped drinking moonshine and all that, you know what I mean? We stopped doing things that black people, so they looked at us as weird. But then the police department called us weird too, because we was teaching about mother planes and stuff like that, and the black man is God and Yaqub and you know what I'm saying? So a lot of ministers, God.
For them to be teaching the public at that time.
In the public.
At all. I mean, I
agree with you on that part. It wasn't publicly, they weren't teaching, but there are like, you know, like table talks with Elijah Muhammad, you know, Brother Malcolm, there's, you know, where brothers is talking about mother plane, they're talking about they building on the grafting of the white man, they going more into depth into it than they would over the rostrum, you know, at a meeting or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, brothers was teaching on that, God. You know what I mean? A lot of stuff I seen and learned when I came in the Nation of Islam. Because see, again, when I first got knowledge of self, I used to only think that, you know, the father was the one talking about get knowledge of self and this and that. And when I started reading Message to the Black Man and studying Elijah Muhammad, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Damn, Elijah Muhammad said knowledge of self back in 1930s. I thought that came from the 5%ers. Knowledge of self, black man, God. No, it go back, you know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of stuff I didn't see and know, but it's like I tell a lot of 5%ers, I don't think it's a bad thing if brothers, you know, go to the mosque, and whether you want to register in the mosque, that's on you, that's your own personal choice. But I'm just saying, when I say go to the mosque, I'm saying go there and build with ministers. I used to, like, when I came into the nation, I used to, like, I know I probably was annoying at some point because I had so many questions. You know what I'm saying? About things that I heard as a 5%er on the street that now they're telling me in here. And I'm like, and I'm getting a different perspective now from it. You know what I'm saying? You know,
mentioned there
so
was already negativity and hostility towards brothers that's registered in the mosque when addressing the 5%. Allah told his sons to stay away from them. They offer you a paper, say no thank you. They offer you the Muhammad speaks, just say no thank you. And he said that because a lot of brothers were so fiery that they was trying to run up on people and burn them up while they was out there selling the paper. And some of these dudes that were selling the paper, they didn't have lessons like that on cap. So if you go into them with what they considered their own stuff, and you going above their heads with it, you talking about 140 solar facts, and they still on student enrollment English C1 or something, right? And now you not only are you doing that, but it's a lot of y'all, and y'all little dudes. These are grown men straight out of, like, some of them is hardened prisoners, criminals, came straight out of jail. They said stay away from them, because one of them will get mad and when they'll hurt you and it'll be a war. So let's just stay away from them. They offer you a paper, say no thank you, and walk away. Then you have brothers that was going up there, Shasha and all of them, knowledge guard with the C cap. Some brothers went up there and you know, one of them, I guess, Shasha, matter of fact, he couldn't come in because I guess he was smelling like alcohol, but it wasn't a thing that they had to do. It wasn't like you had to mandatorily go and be a part of this. You didn't have to write no letter. You didn't have to go sit in no classes. You didn't have to. If you went on your own. So anybody that does make that decision, they got to live with that. Anybody who chooses to do otherwise, they got to show and prove that. Each man has to make his own decision when it comes to that. You know. But But
wow, that's some good, you know, interesting history, man. You know, and it's like, I know, like, a lot of the 5% is just with the, you know, prison system and the father trying to keep them out of that type of, you know what I'm saying, environment, that street environment and stuff like that. I mean, you know, the recidivism rate, you know, like, that's one thing I used to see too when I was in prison. Brothers that came, that was Nation of Islam, it's like when they got knowledge of self and they went to the street, some of them came back, but most of the time you didn't see them no more. 5%ers that got knowledge of self and went out into the street, they was right back. Most of the time, they was right back. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you know, a lot of them, you know, it was almost like it became like a religion. You might as well say, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like you go to church on Sunday, Jesus, hallelujah. And then boom, after church is over, like, I used to go to church, like, I grew up in a Christian background. My mom's Baptist Christian from right down here in Georgia, you know what I mean? And we used to go to New Hope Baptist Church, this in Brooklyn, over there, right across from Albany Projects, matter of fact, you know what I mean? My mom's leave church, she going to the number hole, you know what I mean? Going to play number, whatever, you know what I'm saying? So it was almost like brothers in the penal system, it was pretty much the same way. You in prison building hard. I'm talking about quoting crazy, you know what I mean? Quoting lesson, like, sounding good, but boom, when they hit the street, he trying to find, who got the work, you know what I mean? He trying to get a brick, he trying to come up, you know what I mean? You know, so it was like I used to always see dudes come back. And I guess that just kind of showed me that, you know, that FOI training, however little you have of it, even if it's just a couple years or, you know, a few months even, you was around the FOI and you got that type of discipline, it was good. You know what I'm saying? 3 months of it, 6 months of it, a year of it, it did wonders for me. You know what I'm saying? And that's one thing that we can tell about someone who says something. It's only a theory until we put it into practice. You know what I'm saying? That's almost like how the 1 meal a day, you know, it's like we hear the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad say, eat 1 meal a day, which the father wanted his babies to follow that same dietary practice. Eat 1 meal a day. The messenger said if you eat once every other day or once every 72 hours, you'll never get sick again. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us try to do that. We try to do the 3-day fast, you know, once every month, you know, the first week of the month. And you see the benefits. And it's not like you see the benefits years later. You see the benefits almost right away, like just within a few weeks or a few months of doing that. You see how your body is different. You moving different, you know what I mean? You thinking different, you know, because when you fasting, you know, the mind, of course, heightens. You know, when I was in federal prison and brothers did the 3-day fast, on the 3rd day, Lord, I felt like I was floating. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just woo. But yo, that discipline, man, it's something that definitely the black man needs. You know what I'm saying? As young black men growing up in the community, I just think that just the knowledge alone, that's good, but you need the knowledge along with the application. You have to know how to apply that knowledge in order to get, you know what I'm saying, the proper benefits of it. You feel what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
You
So,
know,
anywhere you go, you ain't gonna go to the mosque and find no angels. You're gonna find confrontation. You're gonna find brothers who's about $1. You're gonna find brothers who got 85% mentalities. Just like any other place. If you go to the church, you're gonna find people that's dedicated to this, and you're gonna find people that's just, 1 foot on land and 1 foot on water. And it's up to the individual. Like you said, you know what it did for you. I can only speak for myself.
right,
I never had none of that training.
right,
That's for wild training, and I've
right.
never been to prison or none of that. None of my friends either. Anybody I ever taught, nobody was in no jail. Nobody was learning this and going to jail. They was learning this, going to school, and coming out and doing something that they learned, which was originally what was taught. He said, get it from the white man, son. Gave him the power to rule the earth for 6,000 years. Now get your stuff back from him. Sort of like taking Jerusalem back from the devil. You showing God power over the cipher 750 years ago. So we've taken it back. Why? Because it was first built by the original man, meaning that's our stuff. That's education, mathematics, all of we farmers, all of that. So what we basically do
Right.
is we go into the schools not to talk more than the teacher, not to know it all, but you go in there to shut your mouth and listen. You're going to get the knowledge, you come out and put it into practice. That piece of paper, that diploma, you can wipe your behind with it. It's just a piece of paper. The knowledge is what's important. They got something on YouTube right now called Hard Course MIT. You can go to any Ivy League school in college and have the camera inside the classroom from 101, beginning of the semester, all the way to the end. You get the whole education for free. Only thing is you can't interact by asking the professor questions and this, that, and the third. But you're getting fed the knowledge, Ivy League knowledge. You just don't get that diploma at the end of the day. But what's more important? They put that knowledge in your head, put it into practice. After you put it in your head, you put it into manifestation, out into the world. So you can see its fruit. You can see it when you got a demonstration. You got to demonstrate what you profess out your mouth. You can't just say I'm
right. You got that model.
Can't say it without showing and proving it. Ain't nobody gonna bear witness.
Yeah.
You believe
Yeah.
Somebody might believe it and accept it because it sounds good, but you ain't making them bear witness. You make them bear witness when it becomes a reality for them. One of the dudes that was taught by a father named Azrael, he taught me one day. He told me, he said he heard that whenever you compare it to a song, when you're talking to somebody, something that's familiar or popular, that you can relate to the people more inside of their heads, because tunes are catchy, it's rhythmic, rhymes or whatever. It's something that repeats in your subconscious. It's easier to remember stuff when you put it in a song. In fact, they got elderly patients who's going through dementia and they can't remember their kid's name or the date of their wedding or stuff. But when you put on music, they're able to recall some of that stuff. It comes right back to them like that. And it's amazing. That's how the brain works, though.
Yeah. That's how, Muhammad, memorized the Quran, because when you listen to the Quran, the recitation of the Quran, it's like a melodic, you know what I mean? And it's rhymes too, you know what I mean? In Arabic, you know what I mean? It's bars, Allah spitting bars at the end of the day, technically. So yeah, I mean, we're a rhythmic people, by nature, you know what I mean? But yo, Lord, I know you got to lay it down, so I ain't gonna hold you too long. We definitely gonna have to get back again and build. You know what I mean? You just dropped some history on me that I, you know what I'm saying?
I'm up and I'm 100%, brother. I'm like a walking book, but I'm, like you said, I got this 9 to 5. I got to get up, get some rest. I'll catch you on the next time.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah. True indeed, God. It was good building with you, Lord.
Likewise.
All right. Peace to the God. Peace.